We're reading through the book of Matthew, one chapter each day of the month, and today we're on chapter 2. So I'm going to give you a few thoughts about Matthew 2. The main piece in here is part of our Christmas story. Oh, we're all familiar with that. But the Christmas story only appears in two Gospels, in Matthew and in Luke. And interestingly, we see different pieces in each one. Matthew shares about the three wise men, or the three kings who came and gave the gold, frankincense, and myrrh, whereas Luke's story talks about the three shepherds that came after being spoken to by angels out in the field. Now, most experts will agree that the wise men or kings came later because it says that they came and found them in a house, whereas the shepherds saw them at the stable where the birth took place. Now, as you realize, sometimes they're referred to as kings and sometimes as wise men. Well, there is a big difference. But in the original language, it uses the word magi. And the reality is we don't know exactly whether they were kings or whether they were wise men. We know they were people of means. Bringing gold and frankincense and myrrh were very, very expensive. And they traveled a long way. They would have had other people in their entourage, maybe servants or helpers or things like that. So they were people of means. And the fact that they saw this star and came means that they were also educated. Now, we don't know that it was three kings or three wise men because it doesn't say, but it says there were three gifts. And so that's why people commonly assume that there were three magi, kings or wise men. They came from somewhere in the east. So they were not Jewish. They came from out of town. They traveled for probably weeks or months coming to see this momentous event. The point is that here were these outsiders coming to recognize this magnificent birth and offer these great gifts. What were the gifts for? Most likely they were used when the family escaped to Egypt for 2 years. The gifts would have been used to support the family during that time. So these people from the East who traveled for weeks or months, maybe longer, we don't know, but they came bringing honor. They came bringing gifts. They went out of their way to do this. What about you and me? If we are believers, as opposed to people from far away, how good are we doing at bringing our gifts to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? How good are we doing at making that a priority? Traveling for months, are we paying that kind of attention where we are that focused on God, not only with our money, but with our time and with our effort? That's something that we need to think about.